All right, I'm embarking on a Dynaco A25 not repair, they work fine, but refurbishment, let's say. And what I have here is some old Dynaco A25s. I've just pulled the C's driver. You can see it's made in Scandinavia, if you can see that. And it's also a C's speaker, it says. How do I get this thing focused? There we go. And there you go. You can see they're in really good nick. And what I'm doing is I'm pulling them out of the cases because I'm going to redo the boxes on these things. So I've got my temporary HPM 40s rigged up here to my Dynaco, rebuilt Dynaco amplifier. So there's the other one waiting to, so I'm going to do one speaker first. And over here, I've got some nice veneer that I'm going to re-veneer the speakers with. That's all I had at Home Depot was oak. So I'll probably go with the oak and then, I don't know, use some um, fancy finish on it as well. So we'll see how it turns out. Anyway, the stain, I mean, and then I'll put some coats of lacquer on it just to make it look nice. And then I think I'm gonna paint this up, or I might vinyl wrap that because I just hate this pressboard finish look. Looks ugly. Anyway, we can see the crossovers in here. They look in good shape. I haven't measured out the capacitors yet. I might do that. And that doesn't look like a standard A25 crossover though. It looks like it's a bit of a bastardized version. So you got the one cap, and it doesn't have the five position I don't know what they are, resistors I guess they are. And this one says it's a 20 ohm, it's kind of like a rheostat L-pad kind of thing. Anyway, we'll see what comes about there. Maybe I'll get an actual A25 crossover network to put in there and see how that fares. Anyway, so I've pulled the woofer. I'm just going to do the tweeter next. But as you can see, the cabinet on this one is the worst. Is starting to separate. Well, it's heaved. It's not separate. It's not flexible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand all this down. I got some epoxy putty. Doesn't really matter what color it is because I'm going to be smoothing everything out. And then I'm going to build up the corners here with the epoxy putty. Make them all nice and square again. And then get it all sanded down and finished. And then I'm going to be putting on the veneer, and then I'll stain it, and then finish it off and see how nice they look. So that's my intended course of action, but as with all projects, halfway through I find something different and go a different direction. So we'll see how it turns out. I really like the sound of the speakers. They sound great. So let's see where we can take it from here. The tweeter was glued in really tightly, and it would have meant probably half destroying the tweeter to get it out. So what I did was I just taped it all in so I wouldn't get dust in it and everything. And I gave it a good sanding, so you can see where it's down to, I took it down quite a few layers here, and sanded it all around, front and back. Not the back because it's sort of press board, so that I'll just repaint. And yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to probably do a combination of this epoxy to build up the corners. This stuff is really good for making up, like if you got a dinged corner, you make it up, and if you're going to put a veneer over top, this is really good support stuff. I was sort of dabbling with doing a double-based liquid kind of epoxy just to sort of fill that, but I'm going to try this stuff. I'm going to build it up a bit so that when I sand it down, that I can get a nice sharp edge here and make it nice and supported. This stuff is really, really tough when it solidifies. So it's really good for doing those sharp edge corners and all that stuff. Oh, I got ghosts in here. Something just knocked over. Anyway, and then the other question is, do I take out that crossover, and should I do it now before I do up the good woodwork and everything? But it would take quite a while to do it, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and do the cabinet, and then I'll have to figure out whether I want to take that out and build a better crossover. I don't know. It sounded good. So anyway, I'll leave that up to the forums to discuss and give me some recommendations. Also, I'll be putting on a better grill that I had. One was missing on the other speaker. This was the stuff they had in it before, which is just kind of folded over bug screen stuff. And so I'm going to go and get some nicer material and make it all look pretty. So there you go. Next phase is going to be doing the epoxy finish on here, and then I'll start working on the other speaker, get that all sanded down, get that all true, and then I'll do all of the veneering at one shot. Well, I went downstairs and thinking that I had another tube of this stuff, because this is a brand new tube. I didn't want to open it, and of course it starts drying out once you start opening it. I did use another, I had a couple of these sticks in different flavors. This one was mahogany that I just showed you in the previous videos. And I found this half-used one, still good. Actually, I only used it a couple of weeks ago. It's oak light walnut, so it's probably better matching what I'm going to be going to, even though it's going to be all covered by the veneer. This stuff is already open, so why open a brand new stick when I can use one that's been previously used? So there we go. This Mohawk stuff, it's really, really good. I've done it to build up a number of bad cornered speakers and stuff like that. Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I epoxied the snot out of it, and as you can see, it doesn't look pretty, and I really punched it down there. I tapped it in with a rubber mallet just to get it right in there. This one I just did, so it's still a little bit wet, and it's starting to solidify right now. Had some deep scars there. Built up some of the corners, and then what I'll do is I'll take a rough sander and then sand it down to flush, and hopefully we'll have a nice crisp corners, and then I can move on to the next speaker there to get that all prepped up. This was the worst by far. The other one is actually in pretty good shape. Little rounded corners here. We'll see if we can dress that up a bit and make it look nice. I've got the two cabinets sanded down, and it looks horrendous, but it's actually very smooth. And I've got a smooth intersection on really sharp corners now, and looking very good. And that'll make the undercoating of the veneer. So I just gotta blow it off with a air compressor here, because I got all kinds of dirt and sand and all that kind of stuff, sandpaper mist that's remaining. So there you can see there's the other cabinet, all sanded down, looking really good. This had a big ding down in here. That's now all smoothed off, and I got sharp corners. Same with this one. This one, the corners I think are good enough that I don't need to build them up or anything. So kind of happy with the way it turned out. So next phase is going to be just getting all the dust and everything off them, and then I'll start in on the veneering process. I have the first coat of first layer of veneer on, and what I did was I ended up changing from the oak stuff, which was right there. I bought 2 rolls, so I'm going to take that one back. The other one Started to play with it, and it's very brittle and very cheap stuff. I got it very inexpensively. And I found it was tearing and ripping, and it just didn't have a good grain on it. And I just said, nope, I got to do something better. So what I went out and did was I bought some maple. And this is the stuff, real wood veneer. It was 51 bucks with taxes in and everything. Canadian, 36 inches by 96, so it's plenty enough to do both of these cabinets. I've done the bottom first, just because that's the one that is the one that's not seen because it sits on the bottom. And basically what I did was I wanted to do a test, and it adhered really well, really solidly. Right now I've just got weights on them just to let them dry and let it set. And I've got these long strips here, which will make up each of the sides. And then I've got some more there for tops and everything. And lo and behold, I didn't know, but I had this stuff that I bought at a garage sale years ago, and I'd forgotten about it, and then I saw it on the wall here, and it's actually maple, and it's trim pieces. So this is the iron-on stuff. So I might give it a whirl. It actually matches the wood quality or wood grain and everything because it is maple, although it's different stuff. And what I plan on doing, I think, is I'll be using that to do the fine fascia here and the inside part. So I've been sanding down that portion. I don't know how well that iron-on stuff works. So I want to do that first because obviously it's going to add a little bit of a layer here. And when I do the sides, I don't want to have that layer sticking out the side, so I want to have it overlapping it. And then that way it'll look more seamless, I would think. And then I'll use sort of a one continuous piece, even though I will cut it, but you will see that by using that I'll do side, top, side, and then that way the grain will match around the outside of the cabinet. So it should look pretty skookum, I think, when it's done. And then I plan on dressing up the face here as well because I don't like this pressboard look. And then of course I've got the dust covers here, the speaker grills here. And it looks like it was kind of an aftermarket job. I think what I'm going to do, they're really good shape. But I do like the old Dynaco sort of canvas look. So I may toy with that idea and go back to that. I may just use these for a while and then until I get sick of it, and then go back to because doing grill covers is really easy. So we'll see how that goes. So there you go. That's the latest update, and I'll probably do some more taping once I get the sides on at least one speaker. I'll do one speaker at a time just because it's going to be difficult. So I have to clear off this bench, and then I've got the one long sheet that I can use there, and then start measuring out the side panels for the speakers. I got the bottom on. You can see the maple on the bottom there. That was my first test piece, and now I've got one side on the one speaker. So this is the first test, and it looks like it's going to stick pretty good. And over here you got the long piece there that'll be the next top end side for the speaker here. And as you can see on each of the speakers, I've got the inside maple done, and I put the sides on, and then I'm going to put the strips down, and then that'll cover that little lip there on the front end there. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm almost thinking I'm going to put the other one on, or put this on first and then have the side with the real wood sticking out because it'll look better, I think. So I may have to do that. Well, actually I'm kind of committed on this one, as you can see. So we'll see how it goes. The last one of the major pieces to go on, we still have to do the fascia piece here, which I've got a roll of maple up there. And what I did the inside portions with, I still have to sand it down and get it all flush and everything. And there you can see the two major sides and the bottom have the maple veneer on it, and it looks pretty darn good. And then I've just got this here, sitting here. You put the glue on, or it's this. It's kind of a neat stuff. It's a no drip gel, LePage, and it's been working quite well, I find. And basically it doesn't string or anything unless you try to do too much rubbing with it. But what you do is you put it on both sides, and then you let it dry for about 15 minutes to the point where you can actually touch a piece of regular white paper to it and it won't stick on each side. And then what you do is you put it on, and then you rub it out with a roller. I don't have a roller, I've just been using my fists, which have been working pretty good. And then I weight it down. I've got these scuba diving belts down here that weigh a ton. So what I do is I put some protective stuff on top and flip it over, and then after I've got it all nice and flat and adhered to properly, then I put the weights on it and let it sit for a couple hours until it sets. It sets right away, but I like to let it uber dry and get it nice and on there, so it doesn't start. I don't play with the wood at all or trim it or anything until after it's really, really dry, and I'm confident that it's not going to slip or anything. And there you have it. That'll be this part, I figure, is going to be easy. This is iron-on stuff, but it is actually the same maple. This I use the contact cement. It's just easier to do it with the trim, I think. And then round two is sitting here waiting in the wings for another day or so to get that one up to snuff. And hopefully by the weekend I will have a couple of nice sets of Dynaco re-veneered or veneered with maple, and then I'll start staining them once I got both of them done. So we wait till the next portion, and then I'll do a quick video showing what it looks like with the top on it, and then of course we'll have to trim it down, and then I'll do the other trim pieces. In the presence of my supervisor, I have completed doing all four sides of the cabinets on both cabinets. You can see there. I did cross grain the bottoms, which doesn't really matter. As you can see, the grains run this way, and then on the bottom they run up and down. But it's the bottom, and we don't really care. But I made sure on the tops that I made the grain go all the same way. And I've already started the trim pieces. So as you can see, you've got the maple veneer here, and it has like a film on it that I sand down. It's partially done here. You can see this has still got the gloss on it. But once you sand it down, it goes down to wood, which is the exact same color as the sides. And this is the iron-on stuff, which is pretty darn good stuff, actually. Pretty impressed with it. It sticks really well. So I'm just doing each of the sides. Here's the other speaker. I had to do a little bit of a patch job over here, so I'm about ready to get that tapped down, and then we're ready to go and do the front fascia on this, and then do a good little sanding again on all sides, and then we'll be ready for some stain. Can't wait to see what it looks like with the stain on it. I'm going to go with the dark stain, I think, and we'll see how it looks. And here is this speaker mostly done. What I've done is I've done all of the trim around, and what I've done is just, used a little filler and little gaps and all that kind of stuff, just to, and it still needs a good sanding, so it's rough hewn right now. and I think it'll pop once it gets sanded down, and you won't see any gaps or anything in any of the corners or any of the edging and all that. So I think I've done a dandy good job of doing that side, and that's just green. It looks like it's a bump, but it's not. It's just green, and of course it'll all stain in really nicely too. So one more sanding job on this, and then I'm going to paint the fascia on here. And I'm going to go radical. I'll leave that as a surprise at the end, but I think you'll think it's kind of cool. So once the grills are on, it'll be, you know, very conventional Dynaco, nice looking cabinets, and then when you take the grills off, it'll look pretty funky. So hoping it'll turn out good. If not, I can always redo it over again. So this one, I still have to do the fascia on it. I have to do the stripping here, so you can see the stripping there. And there you can see the iron. And what I do is cut them at 45s and trim them to width, just here on the table instead of on the cabinet, because it's very difficult to trim straight on when it's on the cabinet. So it's a lot easier to actually trim the strips down when they're on the table with a good ruler and a straight edge. And once we get to that looking like this one, then we'll be ready for some final detail stuff. The other thing I'm going to do is on the crossovers there, you see here's your binding posts right in here. And yeah, I'm not liking the binding posts all that much. They're just old school kind of Dynaco specials, I think. So what I've got is, let's see, I got Dynaco bits here, banana. So these will be the type of binding posts that I'll be putting on them, and they'll look really nice. So, and then of course I'll have some nice speaker wire to finish it off, and then it'll mate up well with my Dynaco amp here. That's just raring to have its own ilk, because I've got these HPM 40s here, and those are going to somebody else eventually, and so I want to have a pure Dynaco system here in my garage. So we'll see how it turns out from here on in. I've now completed all sides of the speaker cabinets with the beautiful maple finish here. You can see everything is done, including the front parts, all the way down the sides here, and looking pretty good. I did a little bit of fill just to cover up some of the cracks and everything, and I'm actually very happy with how it turned out. It's not perfect. I don't profess to be a woodworker, but I did want to learn how to do a bit of veneering, and this is my first attempt at doing big pieces, and I think I'm very happy with the outcome. What I did was I tried a couple of different stains. So I have a number of stains here that I was considering. So red Sedona is that one there. And then there was Espresso, which is really super dark. I didn't really like that too much. I had that done on my desk downstairs, which I can show you. And then red chestnut, I haven't tried that yet. I've got another bunch of test pieces over there, so I'm going to try the red chestnut, see what that looks like. And then this is just a pre-stain, so it helps wood absorb stain evenly. So what you do is pre-treat the wood with the pre-stain, and then apparently you don't get any blotching and all that sort of stuff. So we'll try and treat it that way to make the wood, you know, pop a little bit, and see how it turns out. You can't see the bottoms, and my wife is actually the one that's really good at staining and doing stuff, so I'll probably get her to do that. I'll just do another clip here real quick on the desk that my wife just did with this espresso stuff, where you can see in a large piece it does look really, really nice. But I think for the size of these cabinets, and given that they're you know, a centerpiece kind of thing in a room, I kind of think it's too dark. But anyway, those are some options, and like I say, I'll be trying this red stain. The only thing is I don't know if I have enough to do actually both cabinets, so I may be stuck with one of these two here for what I have in the house. So this is the espresso, and this one was done a while ago. I'll show you a newer one downstairs. So this is one of these big oak heavy-duty desks from the late 60s, early 70s. Weighs a ton, but they're fantastic desks. Great as a work table and everything. So we have this in our kitchen that you can see here. And sorry for the mess. Been puttering around the house, not enough time to clean up. However, that is the Sedona, or Espresso, I think it's called. We'll show you what the other desk downstairs looks like. It's pretty much the same desk. Here's the other desk. The trays that go in here are, you might have seen in the film I just took here. But you can actually see this is freshly done in several coats of, I think Veneering is what she used. Anyway, but you can see how with the wood grain it just pops. But again, this is kind of nice where you're having a sort of a light desk color with you know, the contrast with the dark stain. And for my speakers, I don't think this is going to cut it. But anyway, we'll talk to the boss and see what she thinks. All right, now we're putting on the pre-stain, and it's looking very good. So within about 15 minutes, once it sets in there, then you apply the chosen stain. And here's a bunch that we tried. We tried Sedona here. I didn't like that one as much, and I think the Espresso's too dark. And we had Golden Oak, which is a really nice one, but I wanted something a little flashier. So basically we went with this one here is Traditional Cherry right here. And this is the one I really like, which is Red Chestnut. And that's what I'm going to go with, just because I like a flashier coating. So we'll see how this experiment turns out. Getting a little bit dark outside, so but you can see the first coat of the red chestnut stain, which looks really nice. Gotta say I'm liking it. Anyway, this is first coat. 2 hours later, we put on a second coat, and tomorrow I will do several layers of varnish, and I think it will just pop. And then I'm going to paint that, the front, and I'll paint the back black, and I haven't decided on the color yet. Maybe red, who knows. So there you go. 2 hours later, we'll do it again. Now we have 2 layers of stain, and I've got 3 layers of Veneer applied. So we can see that it's actually turned out really, really nice. So it's a little dark. It's about 10:30 at night here, so sorry about that, but it was a busy day today at work, and then came home and finished up all the layers here. You can see how I've got the cross. This is the bottom, so it's not that worrisome, but I went the wrong way with the grain, as I mentioned previously. But the parts that you can see, which of course this will have little feet on them, and yeah, I think I picked a winner here. They're looking really nice. So still got a little bit of painting on the face here to do. Once I think I might put one more layer on of Veneer, just to make sure it's well sealed, and And there you have it. We're almost there. The other thing I got was I got this from the States. And I should have opened this up first. I can't do this one-handed. There we go. So, I have a couple of Dynaco stickers. Well, they're not stickers, they're metal plates. One of them was bent in shipping, but that'll go onto the dust covers, which will go on top of there. And then, as I mentioned previously, I'm going to change the binding posts on the crossovers there and make it look nice. So I'm going to end this part of the video here because it's getting too long and I'm too lazy to edit it down. So I'll do a part 2 when showing what it looks like completed. Thanks for watching.